My mind was a frantic, overcrowded control tower, and every English word was another plane demanding clearance. I'd hear a simple question like, "What did you think of the presentation?" and my brain would erupt into chaos. Presentation, that's presentation, right? The slides, the talk. Think is pensa. What did I think? Well, it was insightful. Insightful, how do I say that? Is perspicaz the right word? Okay, now form the sentence. I thought it was insightful. By the time my meticulously translated response was ready for takeoff, the conversation had already left the atmosphere. The person was talking about something else entirely, and I was left standing on the runway, feeling utterly defeated. If this exhausting mental gymnastics sounds familiar, if you feel a tangible delay between hearing English and speaking it, then you are in the right place. This isn't just a language lesson. This is a liberation from the bottleneck in your own mind. I am here to tell you, with absolute certainty, that there is a way to silence that noisy control tower forever. You can build a direct highway for your thoughts, one that bypasses your native language completely. This ability to think directly in English is not a mystical gift reserved for a select few. It is a tangible, trainable skill. And I don't care if you're at an intermediate level or just starting out, the principles I will share with you today are universally applicable. They are the same strategies that helped me break free from translation in Spanish and Portuguese, and they will work for you. Over the course of this guide, I will provide you with a comprehensive, step-by-step blueprint consisting of 9 powerful, practical, and profound tips. This is not about memorizing more vocabulary. This is about fundamentally rewiring how you process the language you already know. We are going to move English from a subject you study in a textbook to a living, breathing part of your consciousness. But first, let's fully understand the enemy. Why is translating in your head such a devastating habit for your fluency? The problem is one of time and cognitive load. Real-world conversations, business meetings, and social interactions operate at native speed. This is a pace that does not accommodate a 3-step internal translation process. There is simply no time to decode the English you hear into your native language, formulate a complex thought in that language, and then encode that thought back into grammatically correct English. It is an immense amount of work for your brain to do, and no matter how intelligent you are, and I know you are highly intelligent, this process introduces a fatal delay. It creates a lag that separates you from the flow of the conversation, making you feel perpetually behind, perpetually processing, and never truly connecting. This habit stems from a well-intentioned but ultimately flawed approach to initial language learning. We were taught through translation. We learned that apple equals manzana or poem. This creates a direct link that is incredibly difficult to break later on. It establishes your native language as the necessary intermediary for all comprehension and expression. My goal is to help you sever that link and build a new, direct connection between the English word and the concept it represents. Our journey out of this translation trap begins with a philosophy of simplicity. We must start small. Imagine trying to eat a 7-course meal in a single, giant bite. It is impossible and overwhelming. The goal of complete, fluent English thinking is that grand feast. We will reach it by taking small, manageable, and thoroughly digested bites. My first strategic tip for you is to seamlessly integrate English into your small, daily routines. The objective here is not to add more study time to your already busy day, but to convert your existing activities into micro-immersion sessions. This is about making English the background music of your life, a constant, low-pressure presence that slowly acclimates your brain to its rhythms and patterns. For example, I make it a point to take my dog for a walk every single day. During these walks, I often talk to him. Usually, I speak in English, but sometimes, just to keep him guessing, I'll switch to Spanish and say, "Vamos, rápido." The point is that this is a natural, recurring part of my day that I have co-opted for language practice. You can do the very same thing. Perhaps you have a pet who would be a wonderfully patient listener for your nascent English thoughts. If you do not have a pet, there are countless other opportunities. I am certain you have a smartphone. This device is a powerhouse for language immersion. Change its system language to English right now. Every time you unlock your screen, check the weather, search for an app, or read a notification, you will be engaging with authentic, practical English vocabulary. This is not studying, this is using. You are training your brain to navigate a familiar digital world through the lens of English, forging direct associations between actions and words. Think of the other small, repeated rituals that define your day. Could you mentally describe your process of making morning coffee in English? I am boiling the water. I am scooping the coffee grounds. I am pouring the hot water over the filter. This is not about complexity, it is about consistency. You are building a foundation, brick by brick, convincing your subconscious that English is a natural medium for navigating daily life. My second piece of guidance is to create an immersive auditory environment for yourself. You can achieve this without carving out a single additional minute from your schedule for focused study. The goal is to bathe your ears in the sounds of English, allowing the rhythm, intonation, and melody of the language to seep into your subconscious. Open your laptop or your smartphone and download a selection of podcasts in English on topics you genuinely enjoy. Tune into an English language internet radio station. Play a YouTube video or a Netflix series in English and let it run in the background while you are engaged in tasks that require little cognitive focus. I passionately advocate for this technique. When I am doing housework, organizing my desk, or cooking dinner, I almost always have audio playing in a language I am learning. I find that music is an exceptionally powerful tool for this. There is a profound connection between melody and memory. I love learning the lyrics to songs in Spanish and Portuguese, and I do the same for the languages I wish to improve. Recently, I had the salsa song Loraris on a continuous loop. By simply having it play in the background, the chorus and certain phrases began to etch themselves into my memory without any conscious effort at memorization. I encourage you to find English music that resonates with you. The emotional connection to a beautiful melody or a powerful rhythm makes the associated language far more sticky and memorable. The principle, however, remains the same. Surround yourself with the authentic flow of spoken English. Your brain is a remarkable pattern recognition machine, and even when you are not actively listening, it is working in the background to decode the sounds, identify recurring words, and internalize the natural cadence of the language. This passive absorption is a critical step in preparing your mind to think in English, as it familiarizes you with the raw material of the language without the pressure of immediate comprehension. Now, let's transition from passive absorption to active mental preparation. This brings me to my third technique, which is a powerful form of cognitive training, the practice of prediction and mental rehearsal. Before you enter any situation where you will need to communicate in English, I want you to actively guess and visualize the entire interaction. Whether it is a business call, a coffee meetup, or even just watching a film, take 5 minutes to close your eyes and run through the scenario. Who will you be speaking with? What are the common greetings and pleasantries that are typically exchanged? What questions are they likely to ask you? What key points do you want to convey? Formulate these dialogues in your mind, in English. This act of mental rehearsal is not about creating a rigid script, it is about priming your brain. It is like a pilot running through a pre-flight checklist. By predicting the linguistic landscape, you are preloading the relevant vocabulary, phrases, and grammatical structures into your working memory. This does a few remarkable things. First, it drastically reduces anxiety because the situation feels more familiar and less unpredictable. Second, it builds confidence because you are not starting from zero. You have already begun the conversation in the safe space of your mind. You will be amazed at how often your predictions are correct, perhaps 7 or 8 times out of 10. But the true power lies not in being right, but in the act of preparation itself. You are warming up the very neural pathways required for spontaneous English thought. Of course, you must remain flexible and not become married to your predicted script. People will inevitably surprise you. However, by having already explored various conversational possibilities in English, your mind is warmed up, alert, and ready to process incoming information in English and respond in kind, significantly reducing that crippling processing delay. This proactive approach leads us directly to the heart of the matter, my fourth and most crucial tip for breaking the translation habit. You must make a conscious and deliberate decision to stop learning English exclusively through translation. This is a fundamental paradigm shift that is essential for anyone who has moved beyond the absolute beginner stage. The old model of learning connects an English word to a word in your native language. We must replace this with a new model, connecting the English word directly to the concept, the image, the sensation, or the function it represents. You must learn through direct association and experience. This means understanding the word cold by remembering the feeling of holding ice, not by linking it to Frio. It means learning run by visualizing the action of moving your legs quickly, not by connecting it to correr. Words are merely symbols. The true meaning is the essence behind them. Your goal is to attach the English symbol directly to that essence. To facilitate this radical shift, you need to take a very concrete and symbolic action. You must stop using a bilingual dictionary. The most productive use for your physical bilingual dictionary is as a coaster for your coffee mug. If you continue to rely on it, you are perpetually practicing and reinforcing the very habit we are trying to destroy. Every time you look up an English word to see its native language equivalent, you are strengthening the neural connection that says, to understand this, I must pass through my first language. You are building a detour when what we want is a direct highway. This habit actively prevents you from creating those pure, direct links between English and your thoughts. The tool you must now embrace with commitment is the monolingual English dictionary. This is your new gateway to a deeper, more intuitive understanding of the language. A monolingual dictionary uses only one language. It defines English words in simple, clear English. When you look up a word like resilient, you will not find a simple equivalent in your native tongue. Instead, you will read a definition such as able to withstand or recover quickly from difficult conditions. This single act forces your brain to remain entirely within the English ecosystem. You are not taking a quick trip to your native language for a translation. You are exploring the meaning within English itself. This process does something extraordinary. It exponentially expands your vocabulary in a cohesive, organic web. In reading the definition for resilient, you might encounter the words withstand, recover, or difficult. You are now learning not one word, but a family of related words and concepts, all defined in their own context. This is how you build a self-sustaining knowledge system. It might feel slower at first, and that is perfectly normal. This feeling of slowness is actually a sign of deep, authentic learning. You are building a strong foundation of direct understanding, not a fragile scaffold of quick translations that can easily collapse under the pressure of a real conversation. This is the cornerstone of building a mind that operates independently in English. My sixth strategy is to make English a visible and tangible part of your physical world. I want you to label the objects in your immediate environment in English. You can approach this in two equally effective ways. The first is a mental exercise. Simply glance around the room you are in and name every object you see, silently in your mind. Monitor, keyboard, mug, plant, lamp, charger. Do this rapidly, without overthinking. The second, more impactful method is to use physical labels. Write the English words on sticky notes or small pieces of paper and attach them directly to the objects. Label your window, your desk, your bookshelf, and the door. This technique is incredibly powerful for learners at any level, but it is particularly transformative for beginners and intermediates. It creates a constant, contextual vocabulary list that is directly relevant to your daily life. You are not memorizing abstract lists, you are forging a direct, sensory link between the word lamp and the object that emits light next to you. This method engages visual and spatial memory, creating a much more robust and durable mental imprint than rote memorization ever could. The word ceases to be a foreign symbol and starts to become the object itself, which is the ultimate goal of thinking in English. Now, let us turn inward, to the most important space for practice, the privacy of your own mind. My seventh tip is to begin a consistent practice of talking to yourself in English. I cannot emphasize enough the profound, multi-layered benefits of this simple habit. When you verbalize your thoughts in English, even in a whisper, you are simultaneously practicing your pronunciation, your fluency, your vocabulary recall, and most importantly, you are actively constructing the neural pathways for thinking in the language. It is the most efficient form of practice because it combines thought with speech in a continuous, self-correcting loop. You may wonder when and what to talk about. I recommend doing this during private, low-focus moments. When you are getting ready in the morning, talk yourself through your routine. I need to brush my teeth. The water is cold. I should wear the blue shirt today. While you are cooking dinner, narrate your actions. I am chopping the vegetables. Now I am heating the oil in the pan. The content is utterly unimportant. The consistent act of forming and speaking your internal monologue in English is what works the magic. This is your safe space to experiment, to make mistakes, and to build fluency without any judgment or pressure from the outside world. Do not fear mistakes during these private conversations. This is a critical point. The goal is not perfect grammar or impeccable pronunciation. The goal is to build the habit of fluid thought and speech. If you realize you are unsure about a structure, perhaps you struggle with when to use the verb say, simply make a mental note of it. You can then investigate that specific point later. This turns your self-talk into a powerful diagnostic tool that highlights your personal areas for improvement without breaking your flow. Another wonderfully enjoyable method is to incorporate song. I mentioned listening to music. Now, I want you to sing along. When I am cleaning my apartment or walking my dog, I often sing along to my favorite English songs. I am not a gifted singer, but that is entirely irrelevant. The act of forming the words to a melody, matching the rhythm, and expressing the emotion deeply and joyfully embeds the language into my memory. This leads me to my 8th technique, which is to program your mind for success with a powerful English mantra. A mantra is a short, positive phrase that you repeat to yourself to cultivate a specific mindset. I want you to choose a simple, affirmative statement in English and make it your personal motto. This phrase acts as an autopilot switch, instantly directing your brain into English thinking mode at the start of your day or before a challenging situation. My own phrase might be, "My English is clear and confident." I would say this out loud with conviction and genuine feeling. The emotion is crucial here. Say it with belief, with energy, with a smile. Even if you feel a little silly, this emotional charge signals to your subconscious that this is important. It lifts your spirits, provides a boost of motivation, and directly fuels your acquisition by connecting positive feelings to the English language. It is a small act that sets a powerful tone. Finally, we arrive at the 9th and most compassionate piece of advice, which is about sustainability. You must abandon the idea of total, immediate immersion. The path to thinking fluently in English is built through consistency, not through brute force. Your goal should not be to force yourself to think in English every single moment from today forward. That is a recipe for mental burnout and frustration. Instead, I want you to commit to doing just a little bit each day. Start with a goal that is so small, so undeniably achievable, that you cannot possibly fail. I want you to start with just 30 seconds. I am absolutely certain that you can dedicate 30 seconds to thinking purely in English. To make this concrete, use technology as your accountability partner. Set a daily alarm on your phone for a specific time, and label it Think in English. When it goes off, set a separate timer for 30 seconds. For that half minute, let your internal monologue run exclusively in English. It does not matter how simple or repetitive your thoughts are. You could think, I am breathing. The sky is blue. I am learning. I am strong, over and over. If that is all you can manage, that is a perfect and powerful start. The complexity is not what matters at the beginning. What matters is the consistent, daily act of starting. You are building the muscle memory for this new way of being. If you perform this small ritual every day, you will soon find that those 30 seconds effortlessly stretch into a minute, then 5, and then you will realize you have been thinking in English for an entire commute without even noticing the transition. This is how fluency is built, not in giant leaps, but in small, consistent steps that accumulate into a profound transformation. The transformation I am describing is not an abstract theory. It is a practical reality built upon the daily application of these strategies. Let me take you deeper into the first principle, integrating English into your small, daily routines. The genius of this approach lies in its subtlety. You are not adding another burdensome task to your to-do list. You are transforming existing habits into potent learning opportunities. Think of your morning routine. From the moment you wake up, you can engage with English. The alarm on your phone? It should be labeled in English. The weather app you check? Set it to display forecasts in English. As you brush your teeth, look in the mirror and describe what you see. I have brown hair. I am wearing a blue shirt. I need to comb my hair. This is not about crafting poetic sentences. It is about activating the language in a context that is intimately familiar to you. This practice of context-based learning is far more effective than isolated memorization because it ties new knowledge to old, stable memories. The neural pathways for your daily routines are already well-worn and strong. By layering English onto these pathways, you are piggybacking on existing brain traffic, making the new language stick with much less effort. Another powerful routine is your commute. Whether you drive, take public transport, or walk, this is prime time for immersion. If you drive, listen to English podcasts or audiobooks. If you are on a train or bus, you can do the same, or you can practice the mental labeling exercise. Look out the window and name everything you see in English. Car, tree, building, traffic light, sidewalk, pedestrian. The speed of this exercise forces your brain to bypass translation and access the words directly. The goal is to make English the default language for certain parts of your day, creating pockets of immersive practice without requiring any additional time. Now, let us expand on the concept of immersive listening. This is not merely about having English noise in the background, it is about strategic exposure. The content you choose matters immensely. For this to be effective, you must select material that is either highly engaging or highly repetitive. Engaging content, like a thrilling podcast or a captivating TV series, holds your attention naturally, making the learning process enjoyable. Your brain is more likely to absorb language when it is emotionally invested in the outcome. Conversely, repetitive content is equally valuable. Listen to the same English news broadcast every day. You will start to hear the same phrases and structural patterns repeated, which solidifies them in your memory. Watch the same episode of a sitcom multiple times. The first time, you might rely on subtitles. The second time, try English subtitles. The third time, attempt to watch without any subtitles at all. You will be astonished at how much more you understand with each repetition. This repetitive listening fine-tunes your ear to the musicality of English, the stress, the rhythm, the intonation patterns that convey meaning beyond the mere words. These prosodic features are the soul of the language, and they are impossible to learn from a textbook. By immersing yourself in authentic spoken English, you are absorbing these subtle cues that native speakers use to express irony, urgency, question, and certainty. This is a fundamental component of thinking in English because thought is not just a string of words, it is imbued with this same rhythm and emotion. You are learning to feel the language, not just decode it. This deep, intuitive understanding is what will eventually allow you to formulate thoughts in English that sound natural and authentic, because they carry the same melodic pattern as the language you have been absorbing. The mental shift from translation to direct association is the single most critical leap you will make on this journey. It requires you to fundamentally change how you perceive and acquire new language. Let's delve deeper into how to practically implement this. The traditional method creates a weak, indirect link, English word-native language word-concept. We are building a strong, direct bridge, English word-concept. To build this bridge, you must engage with the word in a rich, contextual, and sensory way. For example, let's say you encounter the word breeze. The old method would be to look it up in a bilingual dictionary and memorize viento suave or breeze. The new method is to close your eyes and remember the last time you felt a breeze on your skin. Recall the sensation of a cool breeze on a warm day. imagine the sound of a gentle breeze rustling the leaves of a tree. See the image of a breeze lightly rippling the surface of a pond. You are building a multidimensional memory anchored in sensory experience. Now, when you hear or see the word breeze, you won't need to pass through your native language. You will feel it, hear it, and see it directly. This is the essence of thinking in English. This principle applies to abstract words as well. Take the word frustration. Don't just translate it. Instead, vividly recall a moment when you felt intense frustration. Remember the heat in your face, the tightness in your chest, the sigh of exasperation. By connecting the English word directly to the emotional and physical memory, you create a powerful, immediate understanding that transcends dictionary definitions. This is how you develop an intuitive grasp of the language. Every new word you learn should be given this conceptual anchor. Ask yourself, what does this look like? What does it feel like? What is an example of this? The more sensory connections you create, the deeper and more readily available the word will be in your mind for spontaneous thought and conversation. This method requires more initial effort than simple translation, but the long-term payoff is immeasurable. You are building a knowledge base that is designed for speed and fluency, not for slow, deliberate decoding. This is the difference between having a library where every book is stored in boxes that require unpacking, translation, and having a library where every book is instantly accessible on an open shelf, direct association. Your goal is to create an open-shelf mind for the English language. This cognitive rewiring is what will ultimately allow you to react and respond in English with the same immediacy and emotion that you do in your native tongue. You are not just learning words, you are integrating concepts, and that is the bedrock of genuine, fluid thought. Let's now explore a technique that bridges the gap between internal thought and external reality, the power of physical response. This method involves connecting the English language directly to your body's movements and reactions, further cementing those direct neural pathways we've been building. When you perform an action, pair it with a simple English command. If you are picking up a book, say to yourself, I am picking up the book. As you open a door, think, I am opening the door. This connects the kinesthetic experience, the feel of the book's cover, the turn of the doorknob, directly to the English phrase. This goes beyond mere labeling. It's about embodying the language. For instance, if you feel cold, don't just think the word cold. Shiver slightly and verbalize the feeling. I'm cold. I need a jacket. By engaging your body, you are creating a more profound and memorable link than thought alone can provide. This is how language is naturally acquired. A child learns hot by feeling heat and hearing the words simultaneously, not through translation. You are replicating that natural, intuitive learning process. This practice makes English an active part of your physical being, not just an abstract code in your mind. The goal is to reach a point where your physical reactions and your English thoughts are one and the same, leaving no room for an intermediary translation step. Furthermore, we must address the environment in which you practice. To truly cultivate a mindset of thinking in English, you need to curate your surroundings to support this goal. This means being deliberate about the media you consume. Make a conscious choice to read the news in English from international sources. Follow social media accounts that post engaging content in English about your hobbies and interests. The algorithm will then begin to fill your feed with more English content, creating a digital environment that constantly reinforces your learning. This isn't about studying, It's about living in a world where English is a natural and frequent part of your information intake. When you encounter new words in these authentic contexts, resist the old urge to translate. Instead, embrace the strategy of inferring meaning from context. This is a skill that native speakers use constantly. If you read the sentence, "The politician's equivocal statement left the journalists confused," you might not know the word equivocal. But look at the context. It left people confused. Therefore, equivocal likely means unclear, ambiguous, or open to more than one interpretation. By deducing the meaning this way, you have strengthened your reasoning skills in English and built a much stronger memory of the word, all without ever leaving the English language ecosystem. This active problem-solving is a core component of fluent thought, as it keeps your brain engaged and processing within the target language at all times. The silence in your own mind can be the biggest hurdle. You might be able to name objects and recite phrases, but true thinking is a continuous, flowing stream of consciousness. How do we replicate that in English? The answer lies in developing a rich and detailed internal monologue. This is the natural progression from talking to yourself about immediate actions. Now, I want you to start narrating your thoughts, your opinions, and your reflections in English. This is where you transition from using English for description to using it for introspection. Begin with simple reflections. After watching a movie, don't just think, "That was good." Force yourself to elaborate in English. "I really enjoyed the main character's development. The actor was very convincing. The plot twist at the end was surprising, but I think the foreshadowing was clever." If you read a news article, summarize it to yourself in English. The article discussed the new economic policy. The central argument was that it would benefit middle-class families, but some experts worry about long-term inflation. This practice does two things. It stretches your active vocabulary, forcing you to search for the right words to express complex ideas, and it makes English the medium for your analytical thought. Push this even further by arguing with yourself in English. Choose a topic you feel strongly about and formulate points for both sides. On one hand, remote work offers incredible flexibility and improves work-life balance. On the other hand, some people thrive on the social interaction and collaborative energy of a physical office. This kind of internal debate requires you to access a more sophisticated range of vocabulary and grammatical structures. You are learning to reason, persuade, and analyze in English, which is the pinnacle of fluency. This internal monologue is your private rehearsal for real-world discussions, ensuring that when you are in a conversation, you are not formulating your thoughts for the first time. You are simply expressing a version of a dialogue you have already had with yourself. The beauty of this practice is that it turns idle moments into productive practice sessions. Stuck in a queue? Instead of scrolling mindlessly, craft a description of the person in front of you in English. He's wearing a dark blue jacket and seems to be in a hurry. He keeps checking his watch. Waiting for a meeting to start? Plan your upcoming week in English. On Tuesday, I have that important call. I need to prepare the sales data beforehand. On Wednesday, I should finally make a dentist appointment. You are essentially performing cognitive behavioral therapy on your own language habits, systematically replacing the native language narrative with an English one. This constant, internal engagement is the final piece of the puzzle. It ensures that English is not just a tool you use for external communication, but the very fabric of your conscious thought, allowing you to truly, effortlessly, and permanently think in English. The final, and perhaps most transformative, habit I want to share with you is what I call the 5-minute flow. This is a dedicated, daily practice where you consciously direct your stream of consciousness entirely in English for a full 5 minutes. This is the ultimate training ground where all the other techniques converge. You will not be labeling objects or narrating actions. You will be thinking your deepest, most meandering thoughts, but you will be doing so in English. This is where you cross the threshold from practice to proficiency. Here is how it works. Set a timer for 5 minutes. Find a quiet space where you will not be interrupted. Close your eyes if it helps. Then, simply begin thinking. Let your mind wander wherever it wants to go. Your plans for the future, a memory from your childhood, a problem you are trying to solve at work, a creative idea, your opinion on a current event. The only rule is that every single thought must be formed in English. At first, this will feel incredibly challenging. You will hit mental roadblocks where you can't find the right word. Your brain will scream for the comfort of your native language. Do not give in. If you cannot find the precise word, describe it. If you want to say nostalgic but can't recall it, think, I have that feeling of missing the past, a sweet sadness for old times. This act of circumlocution is not failure, it is a supreme act of fluency. This practice forces your brain to build bypasses around missing vocabulary, strengthening your ability to think flexibly and resourcefully in English. It illuminates the gaps in your knowledge better than any test, showing you exactly which words and concepts you need to solidify through direct association. Most importantly, it expands the territory of your mind that belongs to English. You are claiming your inner world for this new language. You are proving to yourself that English is not just for external communication, it is a capable and sufficient vehicle for your entire intellectual and emotional life. Doing this for 5 minutes a day will do more for your fluency than hours of passive study, because it is the pure, unadulterated exercise of thinking in English. This is not the end of your journey. This is the magnificent beginning of a new way of being with the English language. You now hold the map and the tools. You understand that the path from constant translation to fluid thought is built not through magic, but through mindful, consistent practice. You have the power to rewire your own mind, to build those direct highways between concept and English word, to make the language your own. It begins with the small, daily commitments, the labeled objects, the background immersion, the 30 seconds of pure thought. It grows with the courageous practices, talking to yourself, rehearsing conversations, and engaging in that deep, 5-minute flow of uninterrupted English consciousness. Remember, the goal was never perfection. The goal was always progress. Every time you choose to describe a feeling in English instead of defaulting to your native tongue, you win. Every time you successfully deduce a word's meaning from context, you win. Every time you complete your 5-minute flow session, you win. These small victories accumulate into an unshakable confidence. You will have days where the English flows like a river, and you will have days where it feels like a stubborn dam. This is normal. This is human. The only thing that matters is that you return to the practice the next day. Consistency is the engine of fluency. You are now part of a global community of learners who are taking control of their fluency. I am so incredibly proud of you for committing to this transformative process. The ability to think in English is your birthright as a dedicated learner. It will open up your world, deepen your connections, and grant you a confidence you've always dreamed of. So go forth and think. Let your internal world be a vibrant, dynamic space where English is the native tongue. I am cheering for you every step of the way. Thank you for allowing me to guide you. Now, it is your time to shine.